Joining me now is Congressman Jim Jordan, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for being here.
You bet, Dave.
Tell me, thank you so much for being here. Tell me what happens when we drag Jack Smith in front of your committee.
Yeah, I think the takeaway, I think the American people already understand this. The takeaway is Jack Smith was just a continuation of this now decade-long attack on President Trump. I mean, first it was Jim Comey and the dossier and all that. Then it was the Mueller investigation. Then it was impeachment 1, impeachment 2, Fani Willis, Alvin Bragg. And then the culmination of all that was Jack Smith. And this was the guy that the left, that the government, that the Biden administration was going to use to get the president, to get President Trump. And he didn't because, I mean, again, he was slapped down in court numerous times. On and on it went. So that, I think, is the sort of the central takeaway. Specifically, some of the things we're going to ask about is what you just pointed out. Why did you pay this guy $20,000? What were you paying him for? How much more payments were there? Was it multiple times? Were there other confidential human sources you took American tax money and paid? And I think sort of the fundamental question on that is why? I mean, Jack Smith could subpoena anybody and everybody. I mean, this is the same guy who went and got the Speaker of the House's phone logs, for goodness sake. He went to a court to get that and make sure that that Kevin McCarthy didn't know that the government just got his phone logs because there was a gag order that the judge put on Speaker McCarthy. So I think the big question with this confidential human source is why? Why did you need it? Couldn't you subpoena and get the testimony, the normal? He had all the authority and power you could want. So I think those are some questions that we will be asking Mr. Smith next week.
I love that you say why, because not just with respect to the $20,000, I want to know why he thought he could charge the President of the United States for holding on to classified materials that pretty much weren't classified. If the Supreme Court got a hold of that, they probably would have agreed, not to mention the fact that they tried to charge the president with mishandling classified documents, and then they themselves mishandled the classified documents. And then, of course, the January 6th prosecutions, when you look what's happening right now in Minnesota, when you literally have Tim Walz and Mayor Frey encouraging people to rise up against federal agents. I want to know why Jack Smith, who told him he should go and prosecute President Trump, I want to know why he thought he should, right?
Yeah. No, there's a great op-ed this past weekend, of all places, the Washington Post, where they talk about Jack Smith overreach, Jack Smith with the gag order. Jack Smith was saying President Trump deserved to be It's a great piece where they criticize and critique the actions that the special counsel Smith took. So, yeah, I think those are some of the things we'll raise as well in this hearing. But I want to go back for a second because I just want to point out this is how committed the left was to getting President Trump. Kevin McCarthy becomes Speaker on, I think, January 7th, 2023. 16 days later, Jack Smith goes to court to get Kevin McCarthy's phone logs for a 2-month time frame from 2 years prior, from Election Day 2020 to January 7th, 2021. And when you get those phone logs, they know who the speaker called, who called him, when the call took place, how long it lasted. And if Kevin initiated the call, they know where he was at when he did so. So you can pattern someone's life. They know who the speaker, think about it. The speaker, Kevin McCarthy, was the top Republican in the government. He's second in line to the president. Go get his phone logs. And then they also go to the court and say, Judge, make sure Verizon, make sure they don't tell their customer, the Speaker of the House, that the government, the Biden administration, the Garland Justice Department, Jack Smith, has his phone logs. Don't tell him. And the subpoena asking the judge not to let Verizon tell him, that subpoena says, the reason you can't tell him is we think he's a flight risk. We think he might tamper with witnesses, tamper with evidence. You've got to be kidding me. The Speaker of the House is going to flee the country? This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That was Jack Smith. That was his commitment, his determination to somehow find anything and everything he could to get President Trump. He was willing to do that to the Speaker of the House.
How high up do you think this is going to go? Because after you have those conversations, not only who he was paying, but why he was getting those records, how high do you think this goes? Do you think it goes beyond Merrick Garland? Do you think it goes to...
Well, no, good question. When we deposed Jack Smith in the 7-hour deposition, We asked him some questions like how often did you talk with the Merrick Garland, the Attorney General? Did you talk with the Deputy Attorney General, Lisa Monaco? How'd that all work out? And we walked through that. So but by the statute, he's supposed to keep them informed. He's supposed to keep the Attorney General informed. Again, I think the Attorney General was probably pretty hands-off once he selected Jack Smith, but I think he picked Jack Smith for a reason. I think you said this in your opening, where you talked about this guy who's known for his aggressive tactics. Jack Smith, 10, 12 years ago, when the whole Lois Lerner IRS targeting conservative groups, when that whole scandal, that whole investigation happened, there's actually email correspondence where Jack Smith says he's looking for ways to actually prosecute the very people who were the victims, the conservative groups who were denied tax-exempt status, which the law allowed them to have, the ones who were attacked and pressured and going after by Lois Lerner and the IRS. Jack Smith was looking for ways to prosecute them. So that's his mindset, this aggressive mindset to go after people. I think he was picked for a reason because they knew, the Biden Justice Department knew he was going to aggressively go after President Trump. So much so, he's getting the phone logs of the Speaker of the House. They went after my phone records for 2.5 years, for goodness sake. So much so that they're paying confidential human sources. By the way, Dave, this confidential human source, you know what it sounds like? Starts to sound a lot like Christopher Steele.
Exactly.
Who Jim Comey paid a bunch of money to, who wrote down all this garbage in the dossier that they used to go to the secret court to get the warrant to go spy on President Trump's campaign. Starts to sound a lot like that. And so, we want to try to get to the bottom of all this.
And I'm glad to have you doing it. You are a superstar, my friend. And thank you so much for all of the investigations you're doing. The American people are demanding it, and you are answering those calls. So when people are out there complaining, oh, what are we doing? You're doing exactly what the American people are asking you to do. And thank you so much for fighting on behalf of the American people.
You bet. Thank you for the great work you do. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
And how many boxes in total did Mr. Nato remove from the storage room in Mar-a-Lago? And I believe it's referenced in paragraph 59 as well.
Yes, I believe, as it says in paragraph 59, between the 23rd of May and I think it was June 2nd, he removed at Donald Trump's direction a total of 64 boxes and brought them to Trump's residence.
And he took them to Mr. Trump's residence from the storage room, is that right?
Yes.
And just to confirm, Mr. Nato moved these boxes just a day after Mr. Trump met with his attorneys about responding to the grand jury subpoena, is that correct?
Well, yes, he actually, the first day that is listed here is in paragraph 54, when he moved the first box, and then so then if you look at paragraph 59, subsection A, 3 boxes were moved on the 24th. On the 30th, Trump and Nauta spoke by phone for about 30 seconds, and very shortly after that, over a period of a little less than 2 hours, Nauta moved another 50 boxes from the storage room. That same day, there was a text exchange between Nauta and the president's wife, and in that I'm summarizing here, but it's on paper. She was saying we're not going to have room for all these boxes on the plane, and Mr. Nauta replied, I think he wanted to pick from them. I don't imagine him wanting to take the boxes. He told me to put them in the room and that he was going to talk to you about them. And then on the first, 11 more boxes were moved out of the storage room.
So that's a lot of movement of boxes, right? It makes sense that it's under the concealment of evidence section of your indictment. I believe going to paragraph 63, you provide a pretty succinct summary of the number of boxes that were moved versus the number of boxes that were returned to the storage room. So do you mind summarizing that piece for us so we understand exactly how many boxes were left in the summary room?
So paragraph
Or the storage room, sorry.
Sure. Paragraph 63 summarizes that between May 23rd and June 2nd, Nauta, at Trump's direction, moved 64 boxes from the storage room to the residence. And then afterwards, Nauta and De Oliveira returned to the storage room only 30 boxes.
So there were only 30 boxes left in the storage room, although there were 64 boxes that were at Mar-a-Lago, to your knowledge, based upon this indictment.
Well, they returned 30. How many more were still in there that they hadn't taken at all? That would be added to that.
Why was there any significance to moving all these boxes prior to June 2nd of 2022? And I believe this is referenced in the false certification of the FBI section of the indictment. But what's the significance of moving all these boxes just before June 2nd of 2022?
Because Donald Trump was on notice that his attorney was going to search that room, search for classified documents in that room, and in between the time he was put on notice of that and the time that he actually did that, at Donald Trump's direction, 64 boxes were taken out, but only 30 were returned.
So how many boxes did Mr. Trump's attorney actually review when he returned to Mar-a-Lago for the review on June 2nd of 2022? And again, I believe this is in the false certification section of the indictment.
Right. The attorney looked through all the boxes that were in the room and reviewed the contents of the boxes in the storage room, and he located 38 documents with classification markings that he took out and he put in a red roll folder, and that he then taped up.
Did the evidence show in the indictment that Mr. Trump's attorney believed that he had reviewed the entire universe of documents at Mar-a-Lago?
I'm trying to see if that's here in the indictment. I could answer that question. Well, I can't answer anything that's not in this indictment, but
And just to make it clear for the record, why can't you answer anything that's not clear in this indictment?
well, that issue, the question of whether he reviewed, in his view, all the boxes, if the answer to that would be within the final report, and again, I don't have a recollection one way or the other, unless there's another public filing about that. My understanding is I can't discuss issues like that due to the injunction.
Understood. Let's move on to the next section about the attempt to delete security camera footage. And we're working our way up to this August court-authorized search of Mar-a-Lago, if you can't see where we're going here. So on page 27, that's the section that starts the attempt to delete security camera footage. Did the evidence show that Mr. Trump attempted to or tried to direct someone else to delete security camera footage at Mar-a-Lago?
Yes.
Can you please describe from the indictment for us what evidence showed that Mr. Trump directed someone to delete security footage at Mar-a-Lago?
Well, just speaking to what's in the indictment, not anything outside it unless you direct me to public filing. It starts on paragraph 74 and it goes through paragraph 87. Is there any particular part you'd like
Yeah,
me
so
to
I'm going to
address?
start with June 22nd of 2022. It's paragraph 75. I believe the Department of Justice sent a message to an attorney for Mr. Trump's business organization that might have provided knowledge for him. What was emailed to an attorney for Mr. Trump's business organization that kind of started off this process?
There was a draft grand jury subpoena for the production of security camera footage. And the previous paragraph notes that agents had observed surveillance cameras near the storage room where the classified documents were stored. And so a draft subpoena was sent on the 22nd of June.
Yes. And then following